Fire damp is a gas formed alongside coal, especially in the Huya mines. It originates from the biological degradation of plant matter becoming absorbed, attracted, or trapped on the coal's surface. Miners would commonly say, "It's bleeding out," meaning it was releasing the gas. The gas was the fire damp, and this gas would seep out. When the gas exploded, it came out suddenly without warning. For instance, when the gas escaped, it happened unexpectedly, and whoever was caught was caught. Moistening my lips like this, I could tell if gas was present. It was very noticeable. I mean, we miners could detect it clearly, because whenever there was gas, I could sense it. The more you breathe, the more you wanted. It got me once, and they pulled me out. They covered me with a blanket because they thought I was dead, me and 2 others. They were shouting, "Nino isn't responding," so they came for me, and there I was. I think, or so they've told me, because I don't remember any of it. Back then, for fire damp, we had the gasoline lamp. There was that and the fire damp detector, which came later, of course. When it comes into contact with fire damp, the flame turns blue and stretches out. So, not only does it prevent an explosion, but also it warns us that we are in the presence of fire damp and need to leave the area. Working in underground mining, especially in coal mining, is considered one of the most dangerous jobs. Miners carry out their work in an unnatural environment, like the Earth's interior. Many factors made the mine the perfect place for workplace accidents. Starting in 1914 to 1915, a new type of accident began occurring in Baruelo that had never happened in Spain. They were called instantaneous fire damp outbursts. Instead of being in pockets, it is within the coal's structure, and when miners arrived, they altered the temperature, changing the existing pressure that had been stable for millions of years, causing a dry explosion and instantly triggering a blast so strong it threw tons of coal at everyone present, leaving the coal pulverized. On April 21st, 1941, 18 people died, and another 18 were injured but survived. 18 lives. But later, 4 more, due to an explosion. A foreman and 2 workers, when lighting a fuse, the flame advanced too quickly and caught them. These were errors they made, and the outburst doesn't respect wind direction. It can move backward or spread if the wind or ventilation blows this way, continuing its path. It doesn't respect anything. It goes backward, forward, anywhere. It's an outburst of coal, a phenomenon, and after the outburst, everything fills with fire damp. Everyone caught in it, if not buried, dies. It's the gas, the fire damp, being released. There was a young man who had been mining for 14 days. On the 14th day, he was 20 years old, from Porquera. While he was mining in that section, fire damp escaped in the area where that young man was working after 14 days. The explosion went off, and I, fed up, went down through the shaft, with the draft rushing past me, running, all the way to the checkpoint, and I said, "Did you get out? Did everyone get out?" "Yes, but not all. One is missing." Then I removed the boards from the chute where they dumped the coal, clearing the coal so it could fall, and there I saw him. And I saw him already dead, with the mask, the sponge in place, the sponge on, and dead. I pulled him out. We pulled him out. And I carried him up the ramp, all the way up. I carried that young man on my shoulder. I remember it because when you go in, the fire damp is lighter than air. And being lighter than air, if, for example, this is releasing fire damp. That is, if fire damp is escaping, it rises. I remember I was near the cut, but I didn't realize it. I collapsed like a rabbit. I realized when I fell 15 meters. It hit me right here. I'll never forget it. I mean, while maneuvering, we would enter through the pipe. What happened? It had to be changed. So it was said that someone had been killed. Due to the gas, they had to get him out. They pulled him out, brought him up to 80, and from there to get him out because of that, and so on. Here, Miners risked their lives every day because you worked under a large mass. You worked where cave-ins happened. But well, here, with the cave-ins, when a cave-in was going to occur, the wood would start cracking. I mean, it would warn you. And if the wood cracked, you moved back. There was a cave-in where 2 workers died because the roof collapsed. It caught them. The wood that was placed didn't hold, and it came down. Or it wasn't placed correctly. I don't know. There also, by means of the cage, a guard also went down the shaft. He got careless. He got careless. I mean, because they used to touch and get into the cage, but he got a little distracted talking, and when that happened, the cage started and the shaft. After 2 hours, they were collecting remains of from level 80 to 480, all over the place, and also through the gates. In one spot, there was an arm. In another, a piece, the guts, everything. They collected everything. Almost all coal miners ended up with a disease that we all know by the name of silicosis. What did the mining companies and the state do? Well, they took measures that offered some protection from it. One of these was the introduction of masks with filters to protect against coal dust. At first, they were so primitive that they were just sponges, and miners didn't know how to adapt to those types of masks, and they constantly removed them, as they couldn't work or breathe properly with them, and eventually they preferred to take them off. Later, they improved, filters were added, they became more comfortable, and the latest ones are increasingly smaller and easier to wear. I have silicosis. I have had silicosis since the 2nd stage, but how could I not have it? With the kind of work I had. And that because many miners in Barelo died from silicosis. Your lungs get clogged. They told me I had dry silicosis, which wasn't in the bronchi, so I've been fine. Having dry silicosis is not progressive. I mean, it doesn't get worse. And I feel, well, I don't feel great anymore, but, well, I carry on. During the last years of the operation of the mines in Baruelo and Vallejo, the safety measures and the machinery improved considerably. They adapted to the minimum provisions designed to improve protection in terms of safety and health of the workers. At first, work was very different. Then it became mechanized and things changed. But when the problem with the methane gas became serious, they changed the system, and we began exploiting from the top, in banks, to reduce the risks. We had advanced 2 or 3 tasks, moving forward, the ones at the top with those at the bottom, to reduce the risks. Pneumatic hammers arrived, and they used water, which were better. These barely produced dust. That was a huge improvement. There was 100% safety, ventilation. The first thing they did was ventilate the mine. And then everything started getting modernized. The air was introduced in different ways, even electric turbines. Things evolved, laws demanded more, and employers were forced to improve ventilation. Machinery was better equipped. Everything evolved, and for the worker, logically, much more safety, much more hygiene, fewer diseases, less physical danger. The coal mining has started a silent dismantling which is translating into the abandonment of the main basins of the country. In addition to all the existing material heritage today, in the basin of the Urbagon River, a collective memory of those miners still survives, who spent part of their lives submerged in the complete darkness of the mine, inside narrow and humid tunnels. Selfless and always exposed to the disease of the mine, their dreams and hopes were forever drenched in black coal. A rich, intangible heritage still lives today in the memory and in the hearts of those, thanks to coal, who lived and forged their future in the towns of Baruelo de Santullán and Vallejo de Orbo.